I don't know what it is about kids today. Picking up them weights, wasting all that time. I don't know.
Those weren't very encouraging words from what appears to be a relative of mine, so pay no attention to him. He's probably been drinking or taking steroids. You folks have asked me to try a rope pushdown, and I wanted to examine this a little bit. The rope pushdown is really good. I like to keep it simple, though. I like to just push straight down. Some guys like to do a little bit of flick of the wrist to try to get the horseshoe part of the lateral head and dig into that a little bit. The little bulb on my tricep is the lateral head. The back of it is the long head, and the medial head is it's the muscle right above the elbow. That is not always visible on this exercise, but I wanted to give you a couple of different looks. You can see here that my head is to one side. I pick one side, make sure that that cord isn't frayed, because that can get kind of dangerous if it gets close to your neck, or even the hook on the ropes can be dangerous. And here I actually let go of the rope halfway through the exercise and start over again. And I call that a deadlift. And every now and then I like to execute a deadlift, meaning bringing the weight from a dead position back into motion. I love to do that. It helps me reconnect with the muscles that I'm working. If I'm working with a client and the client is moving too fast, I stop them completely, and then we reconnect by doing a quote-unquote deadlift in the middle of any exercise. And I think you would really like that. Try doing that once throughout your sets and see what that feels like to reconnect. I think a lot of the movement, the beginning part of the exercise, the takeoff, if you will, is often lost because we're so busy trying to get into the exercise that we forget that that is a integral part of the movement in and of itself. It feels really good to get those weights from a dead stop in motion. So here I am, and you can see the lateral head working. You can see the long head working. What you can't see is the medial head. And so it's a good overall movement. I try not to keep this complicated. I tried various little techniques throughout this. I experiment a lot. I go sometimes with a decent pace, and then sometimes I use a little bit of a heavier weight, and I go a little bit slower. But what I think is a good challenge for you to do, and I tried to do this with a client in person, was to see if you can move the weight at the same pace throughout the entire movement. Try doing that when you do your triceps. Try not to get stuck. Try to acknowledge how quickly you're moving that weight at every point in the exercise. You can see here that I do a pretty full range of motion. In fact, I let the stack stop and then I start over again, and that part works that medial head. That's the part right behind or above the elbow. And then as I push down midway from the right angle down, you can see that the lateral head, the horseshoe area, is working, and of course the long head, which is the back of the triceps. So like I said, I don't keep this one complicated. I don't do that little ditty with my wrists to try to get a little action into the lateral head, the longer part that makes that little horseshoe. And I try to I don't put a lot of pressure on my hands. I try not to squeeze very, very tight. It's funny when you look at those little charts and they highlight in red the muscle groups that you're supposed to be working. When they show you this exercise on a chart, obviously the area of the tricep is working. But I know guys who squeeze so darn hard that you may as well color red into their traps, their face, their neck, their wrists, their forearms. That red highlight is to remind you, on those little charts, as remedial as they are, to remind you of the movement you're supposed to be working, or the area of the body you're supposed to be working. If I squeeze the hell out of these ropes, I'm going to take all that energy and I'm going to put that into my forearms, and there's going to be very little left for the triceps. So I'm not squeezing particularly hard. I'm just kind of hanging on, and I'm doing some things here at a different pace. You see me stopping again to create that deadlift, if you will. That feels excellent. Like I said, I think a lot is missed in just the connection to the exercise. It's a new rep, a new set. You want to build that connection to your muscles and say, hey, this is what we're doing right now. This is the area that I'm working. You want those areas to respond and give you feedback. and sometimes starting over really does give you a remarkable connection. When you start over, I promise you that you'll feel it in the medial head. I'm going to show you at another time how to really work that lateral horseshoe. It's a little bit of a really interesting technique that I learned from a former Mr. America, I'll show it to you. It's a subtle change from this, but I think you'll really like it. So here's the staple of my tricep workout: working the rope and challenging myself. I love it. I love this exercise. It's very simple. It's very low risk in terms of challenging yourself. You can throw a lot of weight on there and see how, experiment with that, or you can put a light weight on there and rep it out and really dig in. I think the trick on the way up is to allow those weights to come into the body naturally so that you get the most stretch. If you're too rigid, obviously you're not going to allow the weights to come up and you're not going to get a stretch. So here I am working at another gym, and I'm using a different bar. And when you use this bar, I find that the lateral head, the horseshoe, works really, really well with this. I mean, I almost feel exhausted sort of on the first set, and I just did this footage a day and a half, 2 days ago. And so this bar would be better if you wanted to focus on the lateral head. The other bar would be better to focus on just a general holistic tricep movement. So I'll be doing some more videos. I'm trying to do them more frequently. If you guys have any questions, please ask them. Of course, I wish you all the best. Peace, love, and muscles. Visit me at Vic's Natural. Say hello on Facebook, and take care of yourself. Bye.